Standalones are a great way to get rid of a reading slump. I know this, I've been a reader my whole life and I've been in a lot of reading slumps. Today I want to give you a bunch of recommendations for some standalones that are my personal favourites or ones that have gotten me out of a reading slump. So stick around because a lot of these books are my favourites, so you might just find your next favourite. So I am currently reading Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Wang. M.L. Wang has two standalone books at the moment. She's got Blood Over Brighthaven and The Sword of Kaigan. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of them. I would recommend M.L. Wang's books for the fantasy reader who wants to escape the massive 14-book epics that we see so much. Blood Over Brighthaven is a great recommendation for the fantasy reader who is really into politics and social commentary, and Sword of Kaigan is great for the fantasy reader who wants a military school, Japanese-inspired, high fantasy escape. I recommend the book My Sister the Serial Killer by Oyen Ken Braithwaite, and this one is for the reader who wants a short and punchy story about two sisters with a really strained relationship, as one of them has to clean up after her sister to protect her, as she is a serial killer killing her boyfriends. In this one, all the characters are super morally grey, and by the end you don't even know who are the good guys. I recommend you to read Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins if in the original series Catching Fire was your favourite. That was for me, and this book was super nostalgic because of that fact. Also, if A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes was not your favourite, this one could be. And also if you love a grumpy and tortured character who you can find out their backstory and their motives and why they acted in the way they did. I really enjoyed this one because of Hamish's character specifically. Read Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant if you want a gory thriller about journalists, reporters and scientists of all kinds going to the Mariana Trench in the deep sea to fake discover mermaids. But in the end, the scientists discover the truth. I loved this book because the science was all digestible and really fun to learn, and I just had such a great time with the sciencey part of this novel. On that note, if you really like learning about science in a fictional and digestible way, you should read Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. This one is about a witty 8th grade science teacher, Ryland, who has woken up in space, the sole survivor of a mission that he can't remember. The next one that you should read is The Night Circus, and I've got two beautiful editions. This one is pre-owned and this one is a special edition. Read this one if you want a whimsical, atmospheric, doomed love story in which two magicians are raised to kill each other in a tournament. They use a magical circus as their battleground and their magic as their weapons. They must create magical tents and attractions within the circus to showcase their talent and their wit in order to win the tournament. This is one of the most visual and vivid experiences I've ever had reading a book. In this one, Morgenstern focuses mainly on the side characters, the atmosphere and the plot rather than the romance. Read Wilder Girls by Rory Power if you want an eerie, sapphic story about a group of young girls in quarantine on an island where the tox is taking over and making their home a wild and dangerous place. Read Fangs by Sarah Anderson if you want the cutest comic strip style stories about a vampire and werewolf falling in love. Read Witches by Scott Snyder if you want a horror comic about a family who moves to a new town to start over after a terrible trauma. But the things waiting in the woods in the new town will be the true test of their family. And this one Stephen King endorses as well. Read A Sunny Place for Shady People by Mariana Enriquez if you want a short story collection that spins the folklore, mythology and superstitions of Argentine into surreal and macabre horror. What was so scary about this one is that Enriquez didn't just use blood and gore to get her point across. It was really that it was about the real life horrors of every day. Read I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Lane Reed if you want a psychological slow burn horror that has a lot of resemblance to an A24 film. The actual movie to this book is not very good. It's really weird. It goes in a really different direction. There was a lot of creative leeway, I think, within that one, and I don't like what the director did. Others might, but I thought it was whack. I don't want to say too much, but this book is really great for a buddy read or a book club because you can have so many different perspectives come from this one book, especially the ending. I read it as a buddy read with 3 of my co-workers and we all loved it. We watched the movie together. It was the craziest experience, but it was really, really fun. Read Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab if you want a story about a French girl in 1714 who makes a deal with the devil after trying to escape an arranged marriage. The devil grants her immortality but the curse of never being remembered. In this one, we follow her through time as she acts as a muse to the most famous creatives throughout history until someone remembers her. If you really like art and history, I think this one would be really fun for you. Read Speak by Laurie Holse Anderson with artwork done by Emily Carroll if you're interested in the author's fictionalization of dealing with rape and dealing with your voice being taken away. This one is the graphic novel, but there is also the original novel, and then there has also been a movie made from this story too. So you have a lot of choice, so feel free to choose whichever one you feel comfortable digesting this story in. Read I Kill Giants by Joe Kelly with art done by Kem Nomura if you want a powerful story about a young, very smart girl who kills giants as an outlet as she has a very dark truth that she can't yet understand or accept. Some other standalone books that I am excited to read are Babel by R.F. Kuang, Remote Control by Nanette Okorafor, The Dangers of Smoking in Bed by Mariana Enriquez, Everything the Darkness Eats by Eric LaRocca, The Deep by Rivers Solomon, The Will of the Many by James Islington, and The Amber Owl by Juliet Marilia. I think that's how you say her name. So let me know if I should read any of these. I hope you got some good recommendations today, that you get the spark back to read and that you get out of that reading slump. See you next time, and remember, be curious.